So it has been 1 year. Can you believe it? I've owned this RV for 1 year behind me. And so today I'm going to do a 1-year owner review. This is my 2024 Grand Design Imagine XLS 21BHE. Now, if you're looking for a tour of the RV, I did one when I first got it about a year ago, just how it came off the factory line essentially. And so I'll put a link to that video down below. And if you're looking for a video on the upgrades and mods that I performed over the last year, that's a separate video as well. I'll put a link and a card for that one also. But like I said, the topic for today's video is a 1-year owner review. And I really want to create this video for folks that are in the market, perhaps for my specific floor plan, the 21BHE, but maybe also for folks that are just interested in the Imagine lineup from Grand Design and you want to hear from an actual owner. What is it like to own one of these RVs after a year? And so I don't do a lot of reviews on the channel, but I did one about a year ago on my previous fifth wheel. It was a Jayco Pinnacle, and I created a rubric, kind of a scoring system on that particular video. And so I'm going to use that same rubric here, and I'll just go over it real quickly so you know what to expect. Basically, the points add up to 100. 20 points go to appearance, you know, how it looks, just focusing on the visual elements of the RV. Then another 20 points possible go to the quality, how it's built actually. Another 20 points go to innovation, you know, is Grand Design doing things differently than other brands in the same space here? And then another 20 points possible goes to the topic of ready to camp, meaning is there anything grossly missing that was left out by the manufacturer that you need in order to camp and enjoy the unit? And then another 10 points possible for the topic of value, you know, what you get for the actual money, what you spend. And then last, another 10 points for the post-sale experience, basically the customer service and the warranty. And so that is the rubric that I'm going to be using again for this review today. And folks, this video is not sponsored by Grand Design. These are just my own candid thoughts as an owner of the 21BHE. And so with that, let me start on the review. The first category is the appearance out of 20 points possible. So I'm talking about, you know, how it looks, really just focusing on the visual elements inside and out. So with that, let's start on the outside here. It's got, of course, laminated fiberglass sidewalls and the rear. The front over here is really just a cost savings. It's just got a regular wall on the front instead of a cap. And I'll talk more about that later. But as far as visual elements, you know, a lot of RVs still are stuck with swirls on the graphics package. You know, these are just vinyl graphics, of course. So I do like that Grand Design did something a little bit different here. It's more angular, and you know, I just think it looks a lot more modern. I guess there is one swirl right here on the logo, but outside of that, no swirls on this RV. And I think they didn't overdo it. You know, they got the right amount of graphics on the sides there. And I do think the front looks really sharp, actually, being black like that, even though it is just a regular front wall and not a fiberglass cap. It still does look nice. And here's a view from the driver's side, just a real clean, simple exterior. I do like some of the details though that they incorporated, such as this bottom skirting right here. It's kind of angular, so it tapers to the back in the front. And then they actually carried that detail over on the back wall so that it's just not as, you know, plain. But carrying forward on the appearance category of the review, let me take you in on the inside of the unit because I think that's where it really shines. And while we're headed there, let me just point out these steps did not come with the RV. These are the TorqueLift Glow Step Revolution. I absolutely love these steps. I've partnered with TorqueLift on several videos, and so I'll put a link to the detailed review on these steps. These give you basically the flexibility to deploy them at whatever angle, whatever pitch your campsite requires, but yet you get the stability, the same stability that you get with drawbridge style steps. And so I really like these. I think these are absolutely the best RV steps, period, for any RV out there. So definitely check them out. If you're interested in purchasing them, I will include an affiliate link below. It will get you a discount when you buy these, and it will also let TorqueLift know that I sent them to you. And so I appreciate you using that in advance. Okay, so the inside, like I said, this is where I think the unit really shines. I mean, I'll just pan around here and give you a look at the unit. And if you're in the market for this, you've probably seen it before. But I would just say some words to describe the inside. You know, simple, clean, modern, fresh. Those are just some of the words there that I would describe the interior. I mean, I think especially for this price point, they made some really nice choices. You can see the cabinetry, I think, is what stands out to me the most. The cabinetry's got these flat doors. Instead of having a raised panel like you see in a lot of RVs or like a shaker panel, they're just flat. And so it just looks really clean, almost a little bit on the Euro side. But there's just lots of, neutrals, lots of lighter colors, and it's just, not very heavy. It's real airy, lots of windows, of course, too. And so I think the inside is very appealing, especially if you're, stuck in here when it's raining. And, Grand Design has changed some things over the years. I think this interior was introduced in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And then they've, tweaked some little things here and there over the years. And I think it's aged actually very well, considering there. I will point out a couple critiques. The valances on the windows, I think they're just a little bit on the heavy side, given how compact and small this unit is. And to be fair, I happen to notice that for the 2025 model year, they got rid of the valances. And so I think they probably were listening to customer feedback. And I realize there's a lot of subjectivity here, right? Because what looks good to me may not look good to you. But when I think about the price point of this particular RV, I do think Grand Design has a bit of an edge. I mean, especially as you look around, it's just got a very nice, fresh and clean look throughout. And so I really do think they have an edge over their competition in that regard. And yeah, there are some plain aspects of the design, but I think it gives you the opportunity to personalize it how you like, such as the wall art there on the Murphy bed wall. And so for that reason, on the appearance section, out of 20 points, I'm going to give it 17 points out of 20. Next category is quality, and this is out of 20 points possible. So I'll be talking about how it's built. And I think this is a big topic, especially in this price point, because when you're looking at the more entry-level price points like this unit, they're designed to be not only affordable, but light, right? And so there are some, conscious decisions that the manufacturer has made on the materials, the components, right? To keep the cost down, the weight down. And so like everything in this review, I've got to be fair and factor in the price point, at least to some degree, because clearly you're not going to have the same level of quality or materials compared to, a six-figure fifth wheel like the one I owned prior. So that being said, I'll start on the inside here, and I'll just say there's going to be a lot less solid wood given the price point, on the cabinet doors and the styles and the frames and everything. Now, to be fair, Grand Design actually advertises that they use a European poplar for the core of all their doors and such, and so it's not MDF, but it still is, a wrapped product. And so what you're seeing here basically is like a film, a foil that's wrapped around the wood to give it that nice finish. And it does look really nice, and it's held up very nicely. And I actually think the doors look really decent. I kind of like how they're just plain and simple, and they almost have like a scraped appearance to them here, and they've held up very well. I do like how on the ends of the doors they have a much thicker laminate right here for durability. So I do like that there. The RV industry has been using foil wrapped products, especially in their cabinetry and trim, for years. Even some of the higher price point units. Even in my last Jayco Pinnacle, it had some portions of wood, some trim, and different elements that were foil wraps. It's a very common material and technique, and especially for this price point. The downside obviously is if I were to nick or dent the wood and need to repair it, it's not going to be as easy because that foil's kind of like a thin paper and it's going to get cut. Now let me kind of shift gears and critique. The tabletop here looks really nice. The countertops over here also look very nice, but these are not a solid surface material. Basically, it's MDF. I'll give you a view kind of underneath here. You can see it's MDF that's been wrapped in with a film, essentially, that makes it have that kind of marble-looking texture here. And again, this is something that's been used in the RV industry for a long time. And my only complaint here is that this has a very high failure rate if, and that's the big question there, if water gets up under that film and releases that bond that's bonding that film to the MDF. And so I think, personally, In a space like this where you've got this, undermounted sink, all the water that this area is going to see, even along the back there against the wall, and the fact that, you're eating, you're having drinks here if a drink spills. I haven't had any issues over the last year, and I've got kids and they've spilled things, but I really would like to see a more solid surface product. I mean, I'd be really curious to know how much the price would go up, how much it would increase if they replace these with solid surface countertops, because it's not a lot of square footage, right? You figure the tabletop here, and then you've got a little bit more in the bathroom. How much would the price go up if all that was solid surface? I did notice that for 2025, in the regular Imagine lineup, not the XLS, but the regular, they have gone to solid surface countertops. So clearly it's a price, it's a conscious decision to save money on the price. But I really think that's one thing I would like to see, is just solid surface countertops. That would make it more durable. Well, let me take you outside next, but really just to summarize in terms of quality on the inside, I mean, clearly there's going to be some lighter weight materials so that this product is towable, because if everything was made out of solid wood, solid countertops, it'd be too heavy and they wouldn't be able to find a customer that had a vehicle to tow this unit, given its size and price point. But let me take you out to the outside here and point out just a few things. First of all, I appreciate the fact that they went with laminated, fiberglass sidewalls, and on the back there, basically this is going to be the same walls that you're going to find on their high-end fifth wheels. The thickness is going to be different, but I mean, they're probably made in the same factory, and they know what they're doing in that lamination plant. And so I appreciate that. The front, like I said, they, instead of doing a fiberglass cap, this is again a cost-conscious decision right here. They just have this regular wall here that's not laminated. It is insulated, but in terms of quality, it is a little bit, if you start to push on it, sometimes in my rear view mirror while I'm towing, I can see the wind kind of pushing on this material, because it's it's just some metal, some aluminum or steel that's been painted up. Otherwise, we've got a nice solid frame there underneath. Of course, it's made by Lippert, like every other RV nowadays. And then up top, we've got a one-piece roof membrane, so pretty common in the RV industry. I do like, in terms of quality, that they put Goodyear Endurance tires on the unit from the factory. That's kind of nice. And then just some other details that I think speak to the quality that I've noticed that actually surprised me on this unit is, I pointed out how much I like this nice skirting right here, but a lot of times the skirting can get kind of sharp on the backside, the bare metal. But check this out. They've actually gone and put this little kind of rubber silicone guard along the skirting in places that they know you're going to be reaching. And so right here we've got the gray and the black tank handles. And so I think that's kind of a neat detail that they thought, hey, we don't want an owner to get cut, so let's put a little, strip right here where people are going to be reaching. All right, so recap on quality. Obviously, Grand Design has had to make some budget-conscious decisions, using more affordable materials in some cases, or lighter weight materials, such as the countertops I mentioned inside being wrapped, or the absence of a front fiberglass, cap, things like that. But in terms of the quality itself, is it there? And I'll just say this, that in the first year of ownership, I have not had to take this unit in for any kind of warranty repairs whatsoever, not even something small. When I think about the price point of this particular unit, and I think about the competition and the other units that I looked at beforehand, I would say that Grand Design is at least above average, if not significantly above average in terms of quality. Again, within this price point. And so for those reasons, I'm going to give it a 15 out of 20. So 15 out of 20 on the quality. Okay, next category is innovation, 20 possible points here. Innovation meaning things that Grand Design is doing differently compared to their competitors. Things like, I really appreciate this, how they have a little wet bay. The water connections are actually inside the unit. I mean, almost every other unit in this price point, the connections are going to be on the outside somewhere. And I just think that's a nice little touch to have all that tucked away inside. Or how about the fact that they do the inverter pre-wiring? If you want to connect an inverter, they already have a loop for you that just makes it a whole lot easier. Or the fact that even this converter here is lithium ready. Or how about innovation with the outdoor kitchen? So many of the bunkhouse floor plans have these nice outdoor kitchens from the manufacturers, and a lot of them have these nice griddles. I like that a lot. But I have seen this so many times with other brands they'll have a nice pull-out griddle, just like this one here, but it only comes out about this far. And so the back of the griddle is basically lined up with your RV. You can't use it that way. It basically turns it into like a storage drawer, more or less. But I appreciate here that Grand Design went with this unit from Moride that comes out all the way. And then not only that, but they actually have a splash guard that folds up right here. So I can actually use this in this drawer configuration without having to pull it out. And so I really like the way Grand Design did that. Like I said, look at some of the competition because a lot of them don't pull out far enough. And then you get out and you buy the unit and you get to your campsite and you realize, oh, I can't actually use that griddle. I've got to pull it off and put it on a picnic bench or something. Or here's another one. How about the topic of innovation concerning the underbelly? It might seem like an odd topic, but one thing I really appreciate about Grand Design is they actually do a really decent job of sealing up the underbelly. You know, pretty much every RV brand advertises that they have a heated and enclosed underbelly. But a lot of the brands are really sloppy down here and they leave some really big gaps and cracks or things settle and then it's not really sealed up. And so heat can escape, rodents can get in, but I really do appreciate the fact that Grand Design did a really good job. I actually published a video recently because this is kind of a topic that I geek out on. So if you're interested in what the benefits of sealing the underbelly are and how all that works, definitely check out that separate video. But from the factory, Grand Design did a really good job. But that being said, there are some areas where I think Grand Design has the opportunity to do more innovation. And I'll just mention a few ideas to start. I've got a power cord coming off the back of the unit, and every RVer, one of the first accessories you have to buy is a surge protector. And so I'd like to see a brand like Grand Design step up and start putting hardwired surge protectors, because after all, every RVer needs one. Why not just make it hardwired? And so I actually did that. Mine is kind of in the kitchen next to the stove in there, but that way I never have to plug in a surge protector. So I'd like to see Grand Design incorporate some of that into their units. Or how about a built-in pressure reducing valve, right? A pressure regulating valve. I've got one of those as well on the opposite side of this wall, so I don't have to remember to, plug one in at the campsite spigot each time. Or how about, built-in filtration, just some basic filtration. Again, these are all things that I had to add, and I think it'd be kind of innovative for Grand Design to just put them in there to begin with. Or how about if Grand Design units could be advertised as being power station ready right out of the factory? Earlier I mentioned how I appreciated the fact that they have the inverter prep wiring. Well, I just added a transfer switch basically and a power station, and now this power station can be easily pulled in and out and supply AC power to half of the breaker panel. So what if Grand Design basically added that to their production and you get a plug just like this one here that's already wired into a transfer switch where you can buy your power station of choice and it's ready to plug in and ready for you to use. I think that'd be really useful, especially if you're stopping at a rest area and you want to use the microwave. And then you've got a power station that works, but then when you're not using the RV, you can pull that power station out and use it in your house or wherever else. Now, if you'd like more details on that power station mod, I did publish a previous video with all the details, so I'll put a card up above. But those are just some examples of where I think Grand Design could innovate even more than they already have. And so for those reasons, within the innovation category, I'm gonna give them 16 out of 20 points. The next category is ready to camp. 20 possible points here. Ready to camp meaning, is there anything major that you have to do up front to the unit before you can actually take it out and enjoy it at the campsite, right? And so I'm gonna start on some things that they got right, things that I think Grand Design really did right on this particular unit, and most of these are gonna be on the inside here. And I'll just point out one, when you walk in right here, you got shoe storage. So many units completely ignore this. And when you've got kids and you've got boots and shoes, you got to have a place for shoe storage. Or how about a porcelain bowl toilet? That is ready to camp. I'm amazed at how many RV brands are still putting plastic toilets in RVs. I don't know anybody that wants a plastic RV in their toilet. I know I bought one RV, it was the very first RV I bought where I had to swap out the toilet right off the bat. And I was surprised when I was looking at this particular floor plan, some of the competing brands believe it or not, still put plastic toilets in their bathrooms. How about basic accessibility, such as how is your kid going to get into that upper bunk, or you, more importantly, get into that upper bunk? You know, I really appreciate the fact that Grand Design incorporated this ledge right here, kind of on the back of the dinette, a nice solid flat surface right here that's super sturdy, and it's just the perfect height to double as a step getting into that upper bunk. A lot of other competing floor plans don't think of things like that. And so then you've got to add a ladder or a stool, or, you know, maybe they actually put the kitchen over here next to the bunk area. And so you've got this really narrow opening to get in. It just makes it very difficult. Now, Grand Design got a lot of things right when it comes to ready to camp, but there are some shortcomings I want to point out. And the first is the bathroom fan. Now, to be fair, I think I've had to replace the bathroom fan on just about every RV that I've ever owned outside of my last one, the Jayco Pinnacle. This is not the fan that it came with originally on this unit. It had just a basic 14-inch vent with one of those tiny itty-bitty little fans that, you know, to be fair, pretty much every other RV brand, especially in this price point, puts in the bathroom. But my thought is, when you've got a smaller unit like this one and everything's, you know, compact and tight, you want to be able to get as much air out of here as possible, you know, evacuate as much air as possible and as quickly as possible because of the space and everything. And so I think upgrading that fan is a must. Now, you might be looking at that thing and that doesn't look like, you know, much bigger of a fan compared to what was there originally. And so over here, I actually put the larger, you know, Max Air fan. And then here, this is kind of their Plus model. And it is larger than the standard ones, but it's more affordable. And I actually think this is a really suitable alternative that I'd like to see brands like Grand Design incorporate. You know, I've seen Ember put some of these in their bathrooms, but I think it's, you know, cost effective and it gets the job done, especially if you have another, you know, Max Air fan on the unit. Another detail that's missing in terms of ready to camp is that there is no trash can, and there's not really a suitable location for a trash can. I mean, if you put one over here off to the side of the kitchen, it kind of gets blocked, especially when the Murphy bed folds down. And so I was really surprised that there's not really a suitable place for a trash can. And so check this out. What I did is I actually cut into the shelf that they had here from the factory and then provisioned a way to have a trash can under the sink right here. And so this is something that I think Grand Design could easily incorporate, but I just think every RV, you know, needs a place for a trash can, and preferably one that's concealed and hidden. And then last thing I'll mention that's not quite ready for prime time camping has to do with security, and that is the locks. Believe it or not, in 2024, Grand Design was still using the CH751 key, the famous key that is used on pretty much every RV storage door, at least was. Most brands have switched, but it was on the front storage and then the rear outdoor kitchen. 3 locks, 3 cam locks. I just swapped those out, as you can see, for these more secure cylinder style locks, but that's something really simple and easy I think Grand Design can step up and change. Okay, so ready to camp, final score out of 20 points. I'm gonna give 14 out of 20 points. So there's some room for improvement there. All right, let me talk about the last 2 categories. Value, meaning, you know, what you pay versus what you get in return. And based on all the things that they got right on this unit that I've talked about throughout this video, and really just the materials, the overall packaging, what you're spending, I really think you're getting an incredible amount of value. And so I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 when it comes to value. I mean, I could buy 3 of these travel trailers, 3 21BHE travel trailers, compared to 1 of my previous fifth wheel. And granted, it was a, you know, top of the line Jayco Pinnacle, but still, when it comes to value, and I think about it that way, for what I'm spending, I'm getting a ton of value. Okay, so 10 out of 10 points on the value, but now let me transition to the last category, and that is the post-sale experience. 10 possible points here, really talking about the warranty, the after sales experience, dealing with customer service and such. And I'll just mention that this is my second Grand Design. I had a 2016 Reflection back in the day, and back then Grand Design was pretty new to the scene, and they were kind of known for customer service. That was their big you know, forte at the time. And I don't think that has changed a lot over the years. I think they still have a really good customer service department. Now, to be fair, I have not had to interact with them a lot on this unit because, like I said earlier in the video, I have never had to take it in for warranty or repairs of any kind. And so I only had to reach out to them one time over the last year, and that was shortly after I purchased it. I got home and realized a grommet on the outside where the little spare tire wrench goes in had blown off in the wind. And so I reached out to them through email, sent them a picture of where the grommet goes, gave them the measurement, and they quickly, got me to the right person and sent the replacement part out. So although my interaction with them has been extremely limited, what I will say, and this was the same case back in 2016 with my previous Grand Design, is that they're always eager to work directly with the customer. And this is something that I just think as an RV owner is very important, and that is for the brand to be willing, especially with simple parts, less expensive parts, to work directly with the customer where you send them a photo, they get your VIN, and they can easily figure out what that part is and get it sent directly to you. I just don't think it makes any sense for a brand to send you to the dealer and then you gotta work through your dealer. They're just not typically as structured and set up for things like that, and it's just a lot of extra hassle and extra people involved. And so I really appreciate the fact that Grand Design works directly with the customers, because not every brand is like that. Some of them will absolutely force you to go through your dealer. They will not help you directly, and I just don't get that. And so I do appreciate that fact. So for those reasons, I'm gonna give Grand Design a 10 out of 10 on the post-sale experience. All right, so now that I've gone through all the categories, let me total them up and let's get the final score here. So for appearance, 17 out of 20 points. Quality, 15 out of 20 points. Innovation, 16 out of 20 points. Ready to camp, 14 out of 20 points. And then value, 10 out of 10 points. And then last, post-sale experience, 10 out of 10 points. And so if we add all those up, you can see there 82 points out of 100. Now that number might seem kind of arbitrary because I've only done one other review so far on this same rubric, but just for reference, when I did my Pinnacle over a year ago after owning it for 2 years, it scored a 76. So 82 here, 76. That might seem surprising, but I think it just goes to show that sometimes you don't necessarily need to spend more to get more. Well, folks, I hope you found this video helpful. Like I mentioned earlier, I've done a ton of videos on my 21BHE, and so I'll include the full playlist down below. If you're in the market for one of these and you have any specific questions that you'd like to get feedback on from an actual owner, definitely drop me a comment below, and I'll be glad to answer those questions. As always, thanks for watching.